Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I will take a minute to introduce ourselves. I'm Mrs. Davis. I'm one of the health science instructors here at Pickaway-Ross, and with me is Mrs. Payne. We're just going to give you a little bit of an overview of our program, starting with the junior year and moving into the senior year. So that way, if you have any questions or concerns specifically about how our program is laid out, you can bring those with you to open house.
So let's start with the junior year. So the big focus of our junior year, as your student may have told you from sophomore tours, is going to be our nurse aid training curriculum. That begins in approximately September, and that's going to run from September until about the end of April. And then we will actually take the state test to become state tested nurse aides in May. So it's a long process. There's a lot of things involved in that. Along the way, they'll also get their first aid certification as well as their CPR certification. We're going to be doing things in the classroom because obviously they need to have some basic knowledge, but also we'll be doing a lot of things here in the lab where they're going to be learning actual skills. In April, as we're preparing to complete our nurse aid training, we'll actually take them out to a clinical site where they'll actually get to put their hands on some folks and do things for real versus just doing things here in the lab on mannequins.
So that will conclude their junior year and give them the capabilities to go out in the workforce that summer in between their junior and senior year. They can actually attain jobs in healthcare through the long-term care setting, which is normally nursing homes, and then moving also to like home health settings if they're of a certain age. As they come back into their senior year, we're going to split off and have a couple of different options. The senior year will conclude of 3 different types of pathways. That first pathway, probably being the one that's talked about the most and most popular right now, is our LPN pathway. So if your student is interested in that particular pathway, we will be having some conversations before we move into the summer between their junior and senior year about that LPN program. We'll be setting them up on work keys curriculums. We'll be testing them before they even leave us as juniors. They have to get 3 5s and 3 different categories of that work keys curriculum. And then we will also be taking their STNA written exam score along with their attendance, and we'll be meshing those 3 different types of data together to conclude the top 10 students out of our entire program. So that includes on campus and off campus for the LPN program. We pay for those 10 seats. We allow those 10 students to go into that program, and they will begin that LPN program the August of their senior year. Now, they do not go straight into the nursing course in August. They actually begin with an anatomy and physiology course as well as medical terminology, and then they will actually start the LPN nursing portion in October. That course will begin in October and go to the following October, which will actually go past their graduation date in May, and they will graduate then that following October with their LPN. Great opportunity, it really is. There is going to be a cost though that comes with that. We do ask the families to cover the portion of the program from May to October. That varies from year to year, and it's something that we will help you communicate with the right people at Adult Education to make sure that you're set up to cover that after your student graduates. But up until the day they graduate, we do cover the cost of that program. The next map, I'll let Ms. Payne kind of speak a little bit about, but it's if they stay here at main campus at Pickaway-Ross, they remain full day students. We will allow them to kind of enter into our classroom. We will split off halfway through the year into more of a focused curriculum for our MA students, but we'll start off with that PCT curriculum. So give us a little bit of an overview of that.
Absolutely. So one thing I wanted to add to something Ms. Davis said, of course, those top 10 students that are interested in LPN. So no student's going to be required to go that direction if that's not something they're interested in. And then they have the option, of course, to return back here with us full time. We'll begin in August with our patient care technician program, which is a PCT designation in acute care settings, and that's basically just advanced nurse aid training. It's going to build on the things that we taught them as part of their junior year, but as they move into a hospital setting and away from a nursing home setting, they're going to have some additional skills that they'll be expected to perform. So our curriculum that fall is really going to focus on those things. For those students who may be really out there enjoying their jobs that they on their own decided to seek out and secure over the summer, they also have the option of going immediately on job placement when they return. So they can be out full time on job placement if their academic requirements are met. If not, they can be here in the morning for their academic classes and leave in the afternoon for job placement, or if they're interested in this PCT designation and getting those additional skill set, they're more than welcome to be here in the lab with Mrs. Davis and myself. So that will take us through the first semester.
Yeah, and so that was actually a little bit of the third pathway. So the LPNs, that first pathway, the second pathway is coming back for the PCT, and then eventually the MA, and then that third pathway is job placement. And the third pathway is kind of a wild card. So at really any point your student comes back to us senior year and says, you know what, I'm really enjoying my job, I want to work more hours, and I feel like I don't need this extra certification that you're offering, they can go on job placement, and we help them to that. So really at any point during the senior year they want to obtain that third pathway, they definitely can. We like for our kids to stay here, we like them to continue on certification wise. They just have a lot of different better job opportunities out there if they do, but we also understand some of these students, they like the money, they like enjoying their senior year, and so they peace out and get a little bit of senioritis. So we do understand that. If they do stick with us though, and they stay for that PCT the first half of their senior year. And then we move into, after Christmas, our medical assistant program, which is an amazing program. It is nationally recognized. So this certification will be good for anywhere in the US, but they can go ahead and begin that curriculum right after they come back from Christmas break. They do have to have a work key score of at least 12, and that's those three same tests that they take for LPN, but they don't have to have the 15, they have to have the 12. So it does give a little bit more breathing room, but it gives us a kind of a little bit of a marker too academically of making sure these kids are going to be successful. We're always wanting to make sure these kids are going to have the best tools possible to be successful in the program. But that MA program moves quickly. It's a lot of information. It goes fast, but it's only about 8 weeks finalizing from all the way in their junior year. We begin that MA curriculum and then pulling it all the way through the senior year. We finalize that last 8 weeks with like medication administration and some added things that medical assistants do, and then we send them out and they go out and they start working in a preceptorship, and that's what they really enjoy. And that begins the beginning of March, part of their senior year, on a preceptorship through a hospital that we've secured for them, and it's a really great learning opportunity. And then they sit for that certification before graduation. So your child has the potential to do multiple different things. If they stay with us here at main campus all the way through, they would end up having their STNA, their PCT, and their MA as possible certifications, along with their BLS and their first aid. If they end up going to our adult education site and obtaining that LPN, they would graduate eventually with the STNA, the LPN, the first aid, and the BLS. If they come to us junior year and they decide they want to just work their entire senior year, they would graduate with their STNA, their first aid card, and their BLS card. So lots of different avenues, lots of different ways to get what they want, and lots of ways to kind of move forward with their medical career despite which direction they want to head.
It is going to be critical at the end of the junior year that they have completed their nurse aid training. And I just want to be clear on that. It's not that they need to pass the state test that they'll take through the Ohio Department of Health, but it is the actual training that will complete in April. So without completing that training, if they're not successful at that, they will not be able to continue on as part of the Health Science Academy. And we hate that, but the real issue is if they're not successful in mastering the skills in the junior year, there's really nowhere for them to go into the senior year, because without mastering that first set of skills, it's just going to be very difficult for them to manage. So the actual STNA is not essential that they pass the state test, but it is essential that they complete their training. And we'll be talking more to your student and to you about that as they go through the program. We're also very excited this year to have a new healthcare partner as part of our medical assistant program, and that happens to be Ohio Health, which is Berger Ohio Health in Circleville. They have contacted us in this past year and would like to also be part of the group that has a rotation of medical assistant students that are in preceptorships coming through their facilities. So this year the student will have the option of either choosing an Adena rotation or a Berger rotation through Ohio Health, and possibly even maybe some Ohio Health locations closer to you and your home if you live maybe in the Westfall area.
Yep. I also think that there is going to be a couple opportunities here in Chillicothe through Ohio Health. They've mentioned that to us a couple of times too. So we'll just have to see how all that plays out. But we're looking forward to kind of branching out and getting our kids different experiences. So that's we want you guys to be well-rounded when you leave us, and so that's all part of this process. Thank you so much for your interest in Pickaway-Ross. We really hope to see all you guys at open house. Please come with any additional questions that you have, and feel free to contact us. Our information will be on the screen.